Getting everybody back together the day after your wedding is one of the best things you can do at an Italian wedding. And in this episode, I'm going to take you through some of my best ideas for how to have this event and all of the things I've learned over the years that have not gone well for couples. Ciao, I'm Lucy White. I'm an Italian wedding planner, the founder of Lista, and I've also got married in Italy myself, so I know what it's like to be in your shoes. And I'm here every week with episodes around how to plan your Italian wedding. I really want you to have a really nice planning experience and to feel calm and confident throughout your Italian wedding planning, which isn't always easy. So let's get into it. The recovery party, the day after your wedding. How are we going to plan this event? Now, there's quite a few different factors at play. The first thing to think about is your guests and their kind of mindset, how they're going to be feeling. And this is actually probably the number one rule for planning an Italian wedding generally, is to come from that kind of mindset of where your guests are. So day after the wedding, you're going to probably have some quite tired people, maybe some hungover people. So you might want to think about that when you're thinking about where the event should be, what time the event should be. Second thing to think about is your budget. And this is probably going to be the biggest driver in what you decide to do. So I always recommend that couples invest the most in their wedding day. That's the day that kind of really matters. And then these other events that sometimes come before and after, there's quite a few different options for you. So you don't have to spend a lot of money. For example, you could have a recovery party at your wedding venue, and this is quite a common thing to do. So a pool party, so you've got the pool there already, you've rented the venue. It's quite easy because everybody knows where to go from the day before. They can maybe even get themselves there. If they can't, you've probably had transport for your wedding event, so it's relatively easy to just have those buses do the same routes again. Your options are things like self-catering, which honestly, I often advise against, because it's all right as an idea to do like a barbecue for 60 people, but in reality, someone has to go to the supermarket and they're gonna have a really shit time doing that, because that is a horrible job to go and buy enough food for 60 people. Someone's gonna have to do the barbecuing. They might say that they don't mind doing it, but actually in reality, standing there all afternoon cooking, not really being able to talk to anyone, probably not the kind of most fun way to spend the day. And actually it adds up. Food is not cheap in Italy, so you might think that going to the supermarket is going to be economical, but actually those supermarket bills are huge. And while they may still be less than an actual caterer, they are significant. So really think about this when you're working out what to do with your budget. Obviously, another option is to bring in a caterer. And this is kind of the easiest option because they come and they bring everything. So if you're doing it yourself, you've got not only to think about the food and who's going to do what, you've got to think about plates and where people are going to sit and all of these other kind of little things. If you've got a caterer, then that's just not your problem at all. You know, you're paying for the privilege of not having to think about how you're going to serve the food, who's going to serve the food, who's going to cook the food, the quality of the food, who's going to keep the drinks cold, who's going to serve the drinks, where are you going to get the glassware from, are you even going to have glassware? There's so many other questions that come up when you do it yourself. A caterer, as I've said, it's a lot more money, but it's a much more convenient thing to do. Another way I've seen this done is to get everybody together and pay for a bar service. So you can just have bar services that come in, set up a really amazing full bar, still have that amazing element to your day, and just order pizzas in. Actually, in reality, it's really quite fun to have a pizza van turn up and give you like 50 pizzas and everybody just has a pizza. That is a fraction of the cost of getting a caterer to come in and cook fresh pizza for you, and technically it has pretty much the same outcome. Obviously, as I was just saying, you might have to think about plates and napkins and things, but really people eat pizza really easily. You know, if they're all in boxes, that's quite easy to manage. And when you're thinking about the food that you might provide, I mean, carbs all the way. This is the event to have a pizza at. Now, often people have a welcome party pizza, which is obviously really quite nice and feels very Italian, but actually keep the carbs for the day after. All people want is to just grab that pizza and enjoy it. They don't want anything fussy the day after when they're feeling a little bit ropey. Another option could be to meet in a town. So if you have your venue and you have a group of people staying there, but you also have quite a lot of guests staying in or near a local town, it can actually be quite convenient to just go there. So your venue guests can go and hang out in the bar, and you could almost just have a drop-in where your guests come and meet you in the town. It will probably be walking distance for them, which will be really easy. And you can either kind of rent the bar space or have a bar tab, or obviously guests can buy their own drinks if you found that you've used up all of your budget and you haven't got budget for this event. And again, on budget, if you're thinking strategically about not wanting to spend too much on this event, think back to the timings. So if you have the drinks in the middle of the afternoon, people understand then that they will need to have had lunch and that the drinks will finish before dinner, so they'll need to make a dinner reservation somewhere. somewhere, and the weight is off you to provide catering for everybody. It's really quite hard to work out the lengths of these events because the day after is a lot more informal and kind of just flowing. But I think the thing that I've seen work the best is to have, if you're having a catered event, have it around 1 or 2 in the afternoon. Everybody comes, you kind of have 2 or 3 hours of service from the catering, and then you keep the bar going for a few more hours. So maybe you have everyone together from 1 till 6 or 7 p.m. and then you kind of go with the flow, which is a really strange thing to advise as a planner because we love a plan. But it's quite nice to see where it takes you. Some guests will want to leave. So if you've booked dinner for everyone, you're kind of just going to waste your money because some guests will want to go home. They will be too tired, or they may have to get a flight early the next morning. So let those guests leave. And then if there's guests that do want to stay around, again, you could order something in. So you could order food in, or you could book a reservation at a local restaurant and you could have that tentatively in place for a certain number of people to fall back on if you do want to go out for dinner. You could even have the caterers stay and do another dinner service because actually once they're there, you've kind of sucked up most of the cost. Having them serve food later on isn't that much worse. They can even just leave food for you, so you can have pasta left pre-cooked that you just need to heat up. So there's loads of different options. Whatever you do, the key, as I said, is to put your guests first. Think about what's going to work best logistically for everybody because everyone is going to be tired that day after and they're not going to want to kind of put too much energy into moving around and doing things. And then make sure you communicate really well. So knowing exactly what's happening, where guests need to be, how they're going to get there if it's on them or you're providing transport, and what they're going to eat when, so they know what they need to sort out and what you're going to cover is the absolute key. Once that's all clear, your guests are going to turn up at your events, have an incredible time and feel really calm about it. And that's going to make your life so much easier too. If you want to catch more helpful videos like this, then be sure to subscribe below and drop me a comment if you've got any questions for me or the La Lista team. We would love to answer them. And don't forget, we've got a whole website over at lalista.com and a community of thousands of couples that are chatting every day about their Italian weddings, all supporting each other. So come and find out more. The links will be below. I'll see you next time.